Hello, welcome to the Cricketers Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Tim Williams. We are here to recap the week that was in the world of cricket with the IPL out in full force and the Sheffield Shield season over with South Australia claiming the title in a cracking victory at home, breaking a 29-year title drought. Here to talk through it with me, as always, the Suleiman Ben of Australian cricket, Cricket Australia commentator, Max Bryden. Maxie, how are you, mate?
Timothy, well, mate, I'm very good, actually. I'll tell you what, it's, you turn on the IPL, you've got runs, you've got wickets, you've got sixes, you've got international stars. You turn the Sheffield Shield, you just got vibes, like really hit me in the warm and fuzzies this week, seeing South Australia did what they do. So I'm really looking forward to getting into it with you.
Yeah, seeing the crowd flock Karen Rolton Oval in SA for that one, mate, it was pretty special, wasn't it?
Oh, it was unbelievable. It was almost like people cared about the Sheffield Shield who weren't just our listeners. It was really good. So,
do you reckon Suleiman Ben ever got an IPL contract? A little one-off game here or there, the big fella, big tall offie?
I reckon you might need to ask those sort of questions to your other co-host.
My next guest, the man with the best stat in sport, random stats guy. How are you, Rando?
Good, mate. Thrown under the bus straight away off the bat. I mean, we've been in the green room for a couple of hours now, and now you bring up the Suleiman Ben quote. But no, very good. I mean, disappointed that Queensland didn't get the win in the Shield, but so good to see South Australia break their drought. I mentioned last time we were talking about the Shield, we were prepping up for the final, that South Australia probably deserved it more, and they got the win, and the scenes, of course, of everyone running onto the field was quite amazing.
Yeah, unbelievable. There was one loss back against New South Wales in November. I think that game also phenomenal and absolutely well-deserved from the South Australians there. Boys, on today's show, we'll be looking over the IPL, the Indian Premier League there, the Australians in the IPL. Mitch Starc bagging firefighter left me wondering, where does this latest effort have him in Australia's greatest white ball quicks? The international watch, we're looking at MS Dhoni, the 43-year-old Indian absolute hero. He's still doing a job there, getting a few runs, batting a long way down the order. We're going to look into what he's been up to over the last week, MS Dhoni. Rando stats trivia, Maxie Bryden quaking in his boots out of that one. And then the Sheffield Shield final, we're recapping that one as well. Looking at the title-breaking win. The drought is over for South Australia. But firstly, boys, the Aussies in the IPL, a few notable performers. Mitch Starc, 5 for 35 for Delhi against the Sunrisers. Travi Head, 67 off 31 for the Sunrisers against Rajasthan. But I want to talk about Mitch Starc. That latest 5 for boys, where does Starc rank? This glittering resume. We know what he's done with red ball cricket and amongst the test greats. White ball quicks for Australia. Maxie, where's he land for you?
For me, pretty clear cut. I think he's the greatest we've ever had. And I think the thing about Starc is, like, we've had some fantastic white ball bowlers and, like, guys who are not necessarily decorated Australians for their test career, but sort of really dominated the white ball scene. Like Clint Mackay comes to mind, Victorian who swung the pill up front and did really well. But for me, Starkey and his ability to bowl at any phase of the game, to take the pitch out of it and just really get wickets with his airspeed and his skills and his Yorkers. I think he's the best to ever do it. I think he's going to be the best to do it in Australia when he retires. I think that there's no doubt, that some of the records you speak about, the fastest Australian to 50 ODI wickets, I think he might even have the world record for that too. I think he's unmatched, and it's really, really good now. He had a huge break from the IPL. We're seeing him come in, take 5 fers, and really just kind of reaffirm, I think, what the Aussies really know. Is really, really good to see.
Yeah, phenomenal start to the tournament for himself. Rando, where do you place him, mate?
Yeah, I think the stats speak for himself with Starkey averaging 23.4 in ODI, 23.8 in T20 internationals, but in domestic T20s as well, 20.1 and 20.5 in the IPL specifically. The fact that he can do it on multiple decks around the world, I think, speaks enough to him. You look, Ryan Harris, probably the best ODI average. He bowled about 20 innings, nothing compared to the consistency and the numbers that Mitch Starc has got there. So yeah, I mean, in terms of Australian quicks, he's got to be one of the best. Obviously, he doesn't have all the wickets to show for, but just incredible average across the board.
Statistically speaking, Rando, where does he weigh up against the other Aussies in the IPL over the years?
Well, you've got the likes of obviously the Pat Cummins and Josh Hazlewood. Josh Hazlewood, he's got an average of 21.3. Paddy Cummins, his average is 31.37. You look at Binger, obviously massive in India for the Bollywood scene, but his average in the IPL was 43.3.
Wow.
Way out there, double that of Mitch Starc. You got your Ryan Harris's and Sean Tate's as well, 23.2 in the IPL and 27.8 for Sean Tate. So really, compared to in the quick spear, not looking at spinners, he's definitely up there.
What about yourself in the IPL there, Max? You obviously spent a lot of time out of the IPL, Mitchell Starc, for many reasons. Where's he sit for you there? Obviously, having played a lot less white ball IPL cricket than a lot of other Aussies who have, chased the money and spent a lot of time there.
Look, viewers would know last week we learnt who the greatest Australian bowler is in IPL history in terms of wickets taken, which is Shane Watson. But I think for him, it's not so much just the work and the amount of games he's put in there. It's actually what he's done with those games. People think about Mitchell Starc and his white ball career. Most of their minds are going to go to the 2015 World Cup, where he was player of the tournament, and that iconic moment of him bowling Brendan McCullum in the final will stick long in our memories. I'll probably be thinking about that on my deathbed, if I'm completely honest. But even just the fact last year he went in, all of the hype, the huge price tag, I think he was maybe 2.8 million or something like that, and it was Mitchell Starc for KKR versus Pat Cummins Sunrisers Hyderabad in the final, and Starkey got the chocolates.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was player of the final, if not he went close. But that's what you get with Mitch Starc. It's titles. And it's championships. And while his body of work in the IPL, it's not going to be as big or as long as other people because he did have so much time off. And I think what you got to remember with that time off was that that was Starkey prioritising Test cricket and prioritising his nation and making sure that his body was fit for the workload he had to go through there. But I think he's the best to do it. I think from an IPL perspective, his reputation is going to be really high. You see with 5 wickets already, new team this year, Delhi Capitals, chock full of Aussies that side as well. I think he's going to put them on a good stead to have a really good playoff run this year as well.
Yeah, and you look at the longevity of Mitch Starc and all these, quick bowlers in world cricket and the injuries that happen, the amount of side strains that occur, they drop like flies. And as you said, for him to preserve his body a little bit more, he's bowling for as long as he has had so much success. It's to give up IPL contracts and limit the amount of cricket he's played and the amount of money he gave up to do that. He's reaping the rewards playing, well into his 30s, and hopefully more to come from him as well. Boys, looking from an international lens at this one, and MS Dhoni, the 43-year-old, just about, Indian superstar. And the question here is this the last we'll see of MS Dhoni in the IPL? Batting anywhere from sort of 7 to 9 this time around for Stephen Fleming, which is, from what we've seen him do over the years, one of the greatest finishers of all time. And he's come in, the old boy's still got it, 2 knocks this time around, 16 and 30 not out. Fleming said of Dhoni and his role in this batting order, it's a time thing. MS judges it, his body is... Pause. His knees aren't what they used to be. He's moving okay, but there's still an attrition aspect to it. He can't bat 10 overs running full stick, so he'll gauge on the day what he can give us. If the game's in the balance like today, he'll go a little bit earlier, and he backs other players when other opportunities are up, so he's balancing that. I said one of the greats to do it, Maxi. Is this the last time we see him in the IPL? Because, as Fleming's alluded to, the knees are going, he's batting down the order, he's still getting results. He's still their number one keeper and doing a phenomenal job there. Is it the last, or will we see a bit more of Dhoni in the future?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I feel like normally if you're talking about a guy who bats 9 and keeps, there's usually a punchline that sort of comes after that. But we're talking about Mahendra Singh Dhoni here, right? This guy is one of the greatest to ever do it. And again, you hear Fleming talk about those injuries. That could just be describing anyone in their mid-30s getting out of bed in the morning with the way that the knees and the backs are going and just really can't do anything for long periods of time. But again, we're talking about Mahendra Singh Dhoni, and you've only got to look at the results of what he's produced so far in this tournament. The fact that he can just stand there and swing hard and clear fences still with that big railway sleeper of a bat, this is Mahendra Singh Dhoni. And I think where it all boils down for me is that this guy, not only what he has done for Indian cricket, for world cricket, but for this franchise as well. He's been one of the CSK day oneers. When they were kicked out of the tournament, he went and played for the Pune Super Giants, and then he was straight back in that canary yellow, that golden yellow. I'm not sure actually what they call it, but those beautiful yellow and golden gilded uniforms from CSK straight away. So I think Mahendra Singh gets the chance to choose whenever his last day is. People like me will just sit back and admire, and when it's all done, we'll say, thank you, MS. It's been good.
Yeah, mate, that's it. He could be an 80-year-old in a wheelchair, and if he says he wants to play, I don't think anyone's going to be game enough to say,
well,
mate.
I'll tell you what, Timmy, if he was 80 in a wheelchair and they needed 30 off 10, would you count against him?
He'd find a way.
He'd find a way.
You know he'd find a way.
That's it. You wouldn't want to leave your crease with him behind the stumps either.
Rando, MS Dhoni, what do you got on him, mate?
I mean, a lot of people coming out and saying this is probably the lowest point of his career. I mean, he's making some serious buck and coin over there in the IPL batting 9. I'd do the exact same thing. The interesting part is his impact, I guess, batting at 9. They needed 54 off 25 when he came in. He hasn't hit a boundary since the impact player rule has been given in a live chase before. He hasn't successfully won a live chase either when he's come in at around that role. So really, it's a tough one, sort of more of a celebrity appearance, chucking him in there. He's not going to go and finish a game off if they need 60 runs with 30 balls to go. A lot of people are saying they should bring on someone who is willing to go and after that run chase, because obviously he can't run in between wickets as fast. I mean, he missed out on the era where you could have a runner next year and all you have to do is just hit the ball. He would have succeeded really well. But yeah, I think it's a tough one, because obviously a lot of respect for Dhoni, but in terms of winning and getting results, which is obviously the name of any competitive cricket game, it's really tough to see him bat number 9 and just not able to, flex a muscle and kind of make an innings of a run chase like that.
It's the bat number 9 wicketkeeper. It's the role made famous by none other than Harry Nielsen at the Adelaide Strikers. Someone's got to keep wicket. Can they bat? Well, it doesn't matter because no one else to do the job. But he's in the run. So, as I said, not too quick between the wickets, the old boy, but he's still getting results. Is this the last we'll see him in the IPL? I think so. But time will tell. Boys, let's move on to the Australian domestic scene. The Sheffield Shield final between South Australia and Queensland. South Australia getting up by 4 wickets in an unbelievable game of cricket. And there's a few performances in particular that we want to touch on here. And we're going to start at Brendan Doggett. 11 for 140, player of the final. Just in that Australian scene and the fast bowling stocks there, Maxi, where does he sit after another mammoth performance?
Mate, firstly, I love Brendan Doggett, and I love the serendipity, and yes, I did say serendipity, of this moment for this proud Queenslander to win a Shield title while playing against them for, from losing his place in their state contracts after having previously been selected for an Australian test tour, I think to Bangladesh or somewhere where it got cancelled. His turnaround in fortune has been amazing in the last 2 seasons in particular. He was saying just before this final, one of the secrets is he started doing Ironman triathlons to keep himself fit in the off-season.
Yeah, right.
He didn't really tell people because he wasn't really sure how they'd take it. He's a professional cricketer, not a professional Ironman, but whatever it's doing to him, his body, his ability to bowl fast for long spells of time is great, and it's good enough for international cricket. I feel like at the moment within the Australian setup, we're kind of we're very clear on who our top 3 seamers are, even our top 4 when you throw in Big Scott Boland as well.
Yep.
I think he's 5th, and I think that if there were to be an injury to any of those guys, he should come into considerations. But I think particularly in Australian conditions, like we've always relied on pace on flatter wickets. We haven't had flatter wickets for a couple of years, but if they come back, then I would be choosing him over a Boland.
Yep, so even ahead of potentially Boland.
Yeah, I think so. If conditions
Fully
suited.
fit Jai Richardson's, Michael Neita's a bloke who he beat in this final, and he's just gone above them all.
Yeah, I think he has, and I think it is. He's always been a bowler who's been known for his pace, but his ability to relentlessly bowl at that pace is just what's coveted in international cricket. He never makes it easy for batters. And I think that you look at the Queensland batting lineup, it's classy batting lineup. They had a number of test players in Matt Renshaw, Usman Khawaja, Marnus Labuschagne, and he was the dominant player in this final. So I think he's right up there, and I would expect to see his name in Australian squads moving forward.
Huge call. There you go. Massive performance. What about yourself, Rando? How do you see it?
Yeah, I thought he was brilliant. Economy rate of 3.27 throughout the Shield, always applying the pressure. Whilst he wasn't the main wicket taker, I think it was only the 2 fifers he took in the first and second innings were 2 of 3 he took throughout the whole Sheffield Shield. Still an unbelievable performance to do it on the final. That's the biggest scale. Whether he can take that to the next level, we saw him bowl for Australia A against the English Lions. Took 3 for 31 in the first innings of that match and then 1 for in the second as well. So he definitely has got some time. Where he is on that pecking order, I'd probably put him a little bit lower, but definitely making some noise, especially with that player of the final sort of figures.
We talk about speed, boys, and the fast bowling stocks. 19-year-old Callum Vidler had the world talking. I feel like, honestly, it feels like we haven't seen it in 10 years. A little bit dramatic, but 150 kilometres per hour. Gee, it's good to see that, especially from a 19-year-old coming through the Australian fast bowling ranks. Maxi, what's the ceiling on this kid?
I think it's Test cricket. Yeah, I think he's got the tools to be just about the best player from his graduating class of the Australian under-19s, which when you look at a list that includes Sam Constas, Harry Dixon from Victoria, who's playing Sheffield Shield cricket. This was a team that won the World Cup. They won the Under-19 World Cup. We've had Marley Beardman come in and play Shield cricket for WA and go on an Australian tour as well as a backup pace bowler. And I think Vidler has the potential to be the best player from that whole class, better than Constas, better than Dixon, better than guys who are also going to play for Australia. He's short, he's skiddy, he's quick, he's aggressive. He's not unlike Doggett, although he's about a foot shorter. And I think, he's got some really good mentors around him in that Queensland system as well. You've only got to look so far as, bowling coach up there. They've got access to Andy Bickle, some of the greats who came through Queensland who were shorter in stature like Adam Dale as well. Like they've got a really good record of building quicks up there, and I think Vidler can go all the way.
We'll move on to the batting stocks and a few standouts here. Obviously, Jake Lehman, a century in the final, one of the heroes of this one. But Maxi, Jason Sangha, 700 runs this Shield season at 78, 3 tons and 3 half centuries. Looking ahead, a bloke who burst onto the scene through New South Wales cricket early on as a teenager, he fell out of that scene sort of briefly. He's now announced himself again. He's back. I think he's about 25 years old. Sangha, look, he's not only playing in the World Test Championship final, but is he someone who comes back into the Australian Test discussion? And, we look at post that World Test Championship final, Australia versus the West Indies. Is he back on the radar of the Test selectors, or is there more to do?
For me, I don't think he is. I think it's probably too soon. But Sangha's certainly got the opportunity for years to build a couple of seasons like this back-to-back to be that guy, right? Like we spoke about all summer was the age of the Australian Test team. We do need batters at some point. So there's no reason if he can't show that he can do it again, that his name could be up in lights. The reason I'd be cautious about him was just the significance of the lean period that he had in New South Wales Blues while on contract with them. It did, there was a reason he's ended up in South Australia, and that was because he was dropped, from being a contracted player. So I'd love to see it again. Look, you won't get better conditions than going and playing first class cricket in South Australia.
Yeah.
We've seen what that's done in recent years for the likes of Jake Fraser-McGurk moving over there, bopping hundreds off 31 deliveries at Karen Rolton Oval and then propelling himself into the IPL. So it's a well-worn path for batters to go to South Australia and rejuvenate their careers, and good on him for doing so. But for me, too soon for him to be talked about at the next level.
Smart cricket from Sangha. He's gone to the right place.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's like me doing trivia with you, mate. It's just it's a sure thing.
You get one win, a few more than one. That'll change very shortly. Rando, how do you see it, mate? Has Sangha done enough to enter back into those discussions to get on the radar of the national selectors, or you're with Maxi that there's a few more domestic runs to get before that happens?
Yeah, I think there might be a few more games, as Maxi was alluding to, rejected by New South Wales in 64. Well, rejected is a big word, but that is fair. That is fair. That is what happened.
Word, yeah.
He played 6 seasons with New South Wales, 37 Shield matches, batted in 64 innings, only hit 3 centuries in that 64 innings span, averaging just 26.6 in the end of his tenure with New South Wales. So, deservingly dropped. It wasn't a harsh call, probably with his prestige maybe, but the runs that he was doing, you could see why they let him go. He's come in here. He's averaged 78 in the Shield this season. He's hit 2 centuries. So he had 3 Shield centuries coming to South Australia, hits another 2, and one of them in this final and hitting the winning runs as well. I mean, what a moment for him. He said that his career was basically done. He thought it was all over, and then something like that happens. You have a wonder season. If he can replicate that, if he could possibly go over to England, continue to improve his batting stock somehow, definitely we're looking in the future here. He's still very young, 25 years of age. I think he can definitely still make a career in the test team, ODI team, and fork going.
I'd love to see Sanger over playing a bit of county cricket in the off-season, start belting a few tons over there. Maxi, anything else you wanted to touch on? Any eye catchers? I mean, there's Alex Carey, who just continued his sublime run of form. A few other standouts before we move on from the Shield final.
No, look, I just thought for me, the big thing was like, Shield cricket, domestic cricket, it's back, baby. And all it took was...
Did it ever leave?
Well, in my world, no. No. It's been, front and centre for a while, but it was so cool just seeing the scenes for the locals down there. Not only just running on the field at the end of play, which was what got all the headlines, but just watching that game for 4 days straight. It was a hell of a match. We saw Queensland rolled on the first day for, 90-odd, and then almost... threatened a reverse outright win after scoring 440 in their second innings. Jack Wildermuth, a fantastic ton. So it was an awesome game.
Shout out to the curators. All this chat of just being flooded attack and, they'll bat it out. Both sides will score 500. Not far off at one point, but it was a cracker.
Oh, it had something in it for everybody, which is all you can ask for from a pitch. So awesome game of cricket. Awesome to see the best team all year win. Let's get around the Shield for next year. I can't. Why don't they play another Shield? I want the off-season Shield.
Bring it back to Channel 9, mate. That's what I was waiting for. The Pure Cup back on Channel 9 back in the day.
That's it.
That was very vintage.
Get the Mercantile Mutual Cup sign out there on the sideline.
That's it. Put a few signs up. We can see Sanger and the boys. Club a few out there. See if they can win 50K.
Tell you what, imagine if they had the Mercantile Mutual Cup sign like they did back in the day. Geez, whoever sponsored that would be paying out these days. Well, it's a little bit different. I don't think it'd be $1 million or whatever it was.
Put on the
You'd
roof.
boycott Karen Rolton, that's for sure.
Yeah. Boys, let's get to Rando's trivia. It's been contentious of late, but I'm feeling good today. I'm feeling hot. Maxi, for all this cricket nerd about him, I reckon today's the day I overcome you.
All right, we'll see. I made these, obviously I went too easy apparently last week, but not easy enough for Timmy. So I've gone like medium to hard here. Medium rare almost in terms of the questions. We'll see how we go here. So
1960s second string wicket-takers
going to keep turning this computer because you keep looking over here. First one, we got Mitch Starc, of course, took 5 for in the IPL. He became the 4th Australian to do so. Can you name one of the other 3 Australians who have taken 5 for in the IPL? Maxi is nodding his head. So, Timmy, I'm going to quickly give you the right to just name one name.
The King, Shane Warne.
No.
Adam Zampa.
Yes, that is.
How did Warney not get a 5 for in the IPL?
He only played 1 year, mate.
That's all right.
They won the title.
Much. Yeah, I know.
Alrighty.
Right, move on.
Alrighty. This is for the tie break. Only 2 players from South Australia's 11 that contested in the Sheffield Shield in 2016 and 2017. Can you name the 2 players who had that Shield experience coming into this game?
Alex Carey would be one, surely.
Yes, that's one of them.
That one.
I'll give you a crack, mate. You can have one guess, and then you can have a.
Was it Jake Lehman? Or was it
He's got it. He's got it. He's back.
Caught that, Maxi.
It was pretty obvious, mate, given the last name. Don't report yourself too much.
Huge.
The listeners were screaming that one.
All right. I feel like Maxi's going to get this because you probably had to watch the game to get this one. Who was the Queensland bowler that was hit for the winning runs in the Shield?
Oh, all right. I don't know.
I'm going to put him out of their misery and say that it was Mark Steckety.
No.
No? Okay. Was it?
Oh, was it the Vidler?
No, it's not the Vidler.
I don't know who it was.
Jack Wildermuth?
No.
Oh.
Michael Neser.
It's not that.
Wow. Okay. Well, he was running in off wasn't Marnus Labuschagne. I saw him in the background.
I was going to say, we said Mark Steckety yet?
No.
That was my
There's
my
one
first
bowler
guess.
left.
Callum Vidler?
Swepson.
Swepson.
Yes.
How? He was bowling medium pace.
I was thinking the same.
This was that's what Crick Info says. The winning runs were hit off Swepson.
Oh, I think they might be incorrect.
Incorrect there.
I feel like
I don't recall it being a spinner either.
No, I think let's look at the scorecard. And if there was a bowler who didn't have a completed over, so I reckon Callum Vidler, Timmy. I think you might have.
It was Vidler, yeah.
Go to the match flow.
It wasn't a spinner because I was the same. I don't reckon it was
commentary.
a spinner.
Go to commentary.
The commentary might be.
There you go. What's Vidler? There you go. I've got it wrong. So
Rando's off trivia next week, by the way, guys.
Who said Vidler? Who said Vidler out of you two?
Me.
You still won anyway.
Yeah, I know. I won twice. All right.
Well, Crick Info's stacked.
Good to be back in the winners' circle, boys, and thanks to
It's almost a reverse outright.
doing it at your niche of Australian domestic cricket as well. It's even better. Boys, let's move on to the part 2 of the show, the World Team of the Week, the part of the show where we scan through all the best results from the world of cricket to come up with our World Team of the Week. From there, we give our 3, 2, 1 votes to go towards the race to the mace, with the winning players nation getting the points to the overall total. This week, just the IPL and that Shield final. We need a couple of openers, 4 middle order bats, a wicket keeper and 4 bowlers. Maxie, I'll start with you, mate. What have you found?
No openers for me, so I'm going to throw it straight to Rando.
For me, we got 2 here. Ishan Kishan, 106 off 47 balls there.
Might be looking at the middle order there.
Middle order,
Rando.
I am, my bad. Quinton de Kock, is my man. Kolkata versus Rajasthan. We also had Travis Head, 67 off 31 in that opening game. Faf du Plessis, 50 off 27. Very fast rate there. And then Mitch Marsh, of course, for Lucknow, 72.
Are you right? You've just ripped through my play.
I thought we said in the green screen that you were going to read it and then I was going to read your one.
Oh, that's easy.
That's
We'll
easy.
do
There you
that.
go, mate. I'll let you do the hard
Yeah, I
work.
was
I'll
gonna
just take
say.
it over and cover you.
Rando,
you can do my one now.
You're really stepping up today.
I'm doing trivia next week, apparently.
Boys, our team of the week opening batters, Quinton de Kock and Mitch Marsh. Maxie, what about for middle order bats for you, mate?
Middle order bats, mate. I had the Shield this week, so that was pretty. It was good to sort of fill your boots territory if you were middle order bat in that game. Eventually, first one, Jason Sang, 126 on out. The winning runs off Callum Vidler apparently for South Australia. Jake Lehman, 102 off 151 in the first innings. Fantastic job by the son of a gun. 3 tons in 3 first-class matches for Big Jake. Then it was Jack Wildermuth. I've got all the J's here, Triple J. We might even get a quadruple if you're lucky next. Wildermuth, 111. Amazing ton in that third innings to go with 3 for 39. Really good all-round performance from him. And then it was Jack Clayton. He was the first man in Sheffield final history to get a golden duck in the first innings and score a ton in the second. He got 100 off 249 balls, all with a little note on his bat that said, "Remember to smile," which apparently was a little note from his assistant coach and helped him to relax throughout his innings. So they are my 4 middle order bats. What about you, Rando?
For me, now that I can jump into it, Ishan Kishan, 106 not out off 47. And in the same game, Aniket Verma. Now, interesting about this one is that he got 2 lives. In the 4th over, he had a run-out opportunity that was missed by Tristan Stubbs. And then again, he edged one through to, who was it? Axar Patel put it down as well. So 2 lives, made it count in the end.
Boys, our middle order, Ishan Kishan, Jason Sanger, Nitish Rana and Aniket Verma. Wicket keeper, who'd you find, Maxie?
Mate, I might be the only one with a name here on the list, although I think one of those openers might wear the gloves as well. But from the Sheffield Shield, it was one of those homegrown South Australians from the 2016-17 squad. It was Alex Carey, 105 from 132 deliveries. It was his 4th first-class ton of the Shield season. He's missed half the season and nearly topped the run scorers. It was a hell of a knock from Alex Carey, and he was my wicketkeeper.
He's our wicketkeeper as well.
He is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, with the Cock at the top of the order. Bowling attack, Maxie. We need 4 of the finest.
Nice. Well, I'll give you one. Brendan Doggett, 6 for 31 in the first innings, 5 for 109 in the second innings for a match total of 11 for 140. It was the most economical 11-wicket haul in a Sheffield Shield final ever from the man of the match in Brendan Doggett.
Beautiful.
Might have to give you the trivia after all these stats you're firing out. For me, Mitch Starc, obviously the 5 for overnight and 3 for 42 as well against Lucknow earlier. Noor Ahmed, can't go past him, 4 for 18. And then 3 for 36 as well against the Royal Challengers. So great knock there. And then Shardul Thakur, 4 for 34 for Hyderabad. I thought he was exceptional too. And to finish, another 4 for Waninda Hasaranga as well for Guwahati. Got the job done.
Our bowling attack, boys, a bit of Aussie flavour to this one. Starc, Wildermuth, Doggett and Ahmed. That does bring to a close the Australian domestic season once and for all. So we've banked some points to the Aussies, I'll tell you that much. But now into the IPL, into the English county season, they're going to be a bit tougher to come by. So we need a bit of a lead. We'll get to that shortly. Our team of the week, De Kock, Marsh, Kishan, Sangha, Rana, Verma, Carey, Starc, Wildermuth, Doggett and Ahmed. Your 3-2-1 votes for the best performances in world cricket for the week. Maxi, start us off.
Look, he was good enough for 1 point. He's not good enough for the Australian squad yet, and that was Jason Sangha. So that match-winning runs in a Shield final doesn't get any better than that. Number 2, I had Ishan Kishan. Love the name. Sounds like IKEA furniture. And come batting at number 3 for Sunrisers Hyderabad, a big ton, which I'm all about here on this particular podcast. And the player of the week, in my eyes, couldn't go past Brendan Doggett. You can call it Aussie bias. You can call it whatever you want. I don't care. He gets my 3 points this week for his 11-wicket haul and player of the match in the Sheffield Shield final.
You've got some serious Aussie bias about you.
I'm not going to deny it.
Yeah, there's another bloke with Aussie bias. I'll allow it. Rando.
For me, my 1 had to go to Jason Sangha. Obviously, a great revival story there and hitting the winning runs. Just the cherry on top. 2, Doggett, we've already mentioned his 11-wicket haul. And then my number 3, Noor Ahmed. I thought he's been brilliant. 4 for into 3 for so far in the IPL. He started really well.
Yeah, snubbed by Maxi Bryden. I had Noor Ahmed as my 1 as well, the Afghani. I had Doggett, 2 votes for myself, and Kishan as 3 votes. So, boys, 3 votes overall goes to Kishan and India, 2 votes to Doggett and the Australians, and 1 vote to Afghanistan and Noor Ahmed. The race for the Mace, that leaves Australia at 21 at the end of the domestic season over here. India go up to 14, New Zealand on 11, South Africa on 10, England on 4, joined by the West Indies, and now Afghanistan, who are doing quite well too. Boys, that'll wrap us up for the Cricketers Playbook podcast for this week. Maxi, thanks, mate, and commiserations on the loss.
No, thanks, mate, and congratulations on the win. It's really good to have a bit of competition around here.
Yeah, well, I gave you a few weeks off after that hot start, which felt like about 8 months ago. Rando, thank you, mate.
Pleasure as always. Keen to rip into the IPL. Sad that we don't have anything playing during the day anymore. Now I don't know what to do with myself. Replays, that is true. I'll rewatch the whole season. That's what I'll do.
Right, guys, we'll be back next Monday night once again. Thanks for tuning in.